we don't, we have like a couple of openings, but if it's not the same level as you think it is, apply anyways and let me know and we'll make it work. Holiday plans, my wife and kid are in Lebanon right now and I'll be following them on the 18th. Lebanon, halfway across the globe. Middle East.
Oh,
Yeah.
Lebanon.
Yes.
Okay.
It's gonna be a long flight. It's gonna take me 2 days to get there. I'll leave on Wednesday. I get there Friday morning. But it's worth it, sort of.
How many flights is it connecting?
What?
Is it a single flight or a separate flight?
2 flights. I go to Frankfurt and then Frankfurt, Beirut. I have 12-hour layover in Frankfurt.
Bring it to the book.
My mom did get me a lounge pass, so apparently there are beds in the lounge in
Nice.
Frankfurt.
I think there's actually in Amsterdam, there's beds outside of the lounge. There's no beds in the lounge.
So yeah, my wife and kid did the same trip, and so my wife told me there are beds in the lounge, so I'll be using those quite a bit. Everybody over there is gonna listen to me snore. I don't care. So that is me. Moving on.
So my name's Peyton. I work at a company called Rig Up with Aaron. I don't actually know if we're hiring, but I'm assuming that we are. For the holidays, my parents just sold my childhood home in California, so I'm gonna go hang out on the beach.
You're helping to Lebanon.
Sorry. Would you like to know?
I said that again.
So for the holidays, my parents just sold my childhood home.
Where was that?
It was in Reno, Nevada.
Okay.
Moved to Los Angeles, so I'm gonna go hang out on the beach.
Are they retiring?
No, my
Okay,
dad.
because that's like the opposite.
My dad is trying to retire. He works for the Navy, so they match your last 3 years for your retirement
Smart.
plan. So we moved to California, bump up his salary, get a better retirement.
Okay.
Can you repeat that?
My dad works for the Navy. He's about to retire, and he wants to max out his salary. And so the Navy, they take your last 3 years of pay and base your salary package, your retirement package off of that. So he moved to California to give you the system.
Are they going back to Reno after that?
No, I don't know where they're gonna end up. Probably like Colorado.
So he was in the Navy station in Reno, Nevada.
No, he's a civilian. He's a mechanical engineer.
Important part is he's going to the beach.
That got a little bit too personal.
Exactly.
My name's Aaron. I am a engineering manager at Rig Up down the street. We are hiring. We're looking for Ruby developers, mostly at the mid to senior level. But if you think that you're pretty damn good and you're still junior, maybe apply anyway. Who knows what will happen? I have business cards if you want to take those at the end. Okay. I'm not looking. I'm still very much engaged. Today was actually 3 months on the job, so it's been exciting. I got paid to come here, so having some kind of an impact. Icebreaker holiday plans. Yeah, my wife and I are going to her parents in Cincinnati, Ohio, where it's a lot colder than it is here. I'm thinking maybe I should instead go to my parents in Florida because it's warm there. But you do what you do.
Yeah, so my name is Jared. I actually work for a brewery, so we don't have any rigid tabs, unfortunately. We make beer, but
What brewery?
20 Mission Cerveza. It's down in Medellin, Colombia, actually.
Oh.
Yeah, so we are hiring a lot of people, but
Brewers.
and waiters and delivery guys and stuff. So, not looking. Holiday plans, unsure. You know, we're probably gonna just stick around here. I may fly down for a meeting, which is not cool, but that's about that.
So what are you trying for?
Oh, we live here, and I'm thinking about getting back into coding. Like, I coded a long time ago, and I worked in tech in San Francisco for a long time. But I was always on the business side, and I always liked coding better, but I didn't want to, like, stop doing the business side because it made a lot of money. And, like, now that I'm not doing tech business, I thought I might start coding again and actually enjoy it. So,
Well, I'm Ines. Yeah, I'm looking for a job. We just moved from Florida. e-commerce for alcohol, like beers mostly. They want to do like interstate delivery, which is not legal right now. So they have to fight the laws and all the stuff, and the things are start moving in that place, but they're not really advanced there right now. So it's difficult to get like investment. People don't want to risk their money in something unsure. And now Amazon is pushing for that permits, but obviously they're going to close the market for them. So they didn't raise the money, and that's why they're tired, because they need to work every morning. Holidays, we're not sure if we're going to Colombia or we're going to, actually, where is your Tahoe? Where's his sister? They just have a baby too, so we have to manage the baby. Or in San Francisco, or just stay here. I think it's still like deciding what to do.
That's a lot of options.
Yeah, it's nice. So yeah, we're deciding what to do.
My name's Randall. I also work for Power School. We are hiring, as Yusuf said. I'm not looking. Icebreaker.
Do that again. I'm his back.
Really not looking. Icebreaker, holiday plans. I'm just going back home to East Texas to spend time with family.
My name's Justin Mills. I work at People Admin, Power School Company, as a engineering manager. We are hiring.
Yes.
Do they make it? Yeah. It's,
Yes, a Power School.
Holiday plans are zero. I just got married a couple months ago. We saw the family. We don't need to see them again. This is going to be a quiet holiday with us and maybe some friends.
My name is Joseph Volada. My company is it's a financial advisor, and I manage stock portfolios. And I've written all of the programs. I do that myself in Ruby. And I'm not hiring, and I'm not looking for a job. But my background is trading and on Wall Street, and I used to use Ruby and stuff for projects, quant kind of projects. My plans for holidays, that's up in the air, actually. I broke up with my girlfriend about, well, 20 times, but but
The same one?
but the same one, yeah. But finally, I rented an apartment downtown, and then I thought she would stay in my house, and she told me like 2 days ago that she's moving out before Christmas. So I'm gonna have two houses. I'm gonna have a house I don't know what to do with, and I have to figure out something. But holiday plans, I don't really have any family. I don't have too many friends, and I teach an ESL group, or I sponsor an ESL group, and so I'm gonna have like a holiday party with the ESL people. And if any of you don't have anywhere else to go, you can come down Christmas Eve. And
See you on Thursday, you're going now.
Hmm?
You're going to the holiday party Thursday?
No, that's a mixer for techies.
No, but you're going to that too?
Yeah, I'm gonna go there. Yeah. But then I'm gonna have like, something just, who don't have anywhere else to go. A lot of the ESL people don't have any family, or they don't celebrate Christmas, or, that kind of stuff. Like if they're from, say, Asia, or from Middle East, they don't really celebrate Christmas. And their family might be too far away to go back and see them, so they just have nothing to do. Just like me.
Next year, I'll be at your place. This year, I already booked the flight.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Aaron Hyde, the other Aaron. Recent transplant. Yeah, it's a great name, look into it. Just recent transplant from Silicon Valley, so moved here about 3 months ago, and
where in the Silicon Valley?
Actually, San Jose, actually on Fremont.
Oh, cool. I lived in San Jose before.
Oh, okay. I heard you guys talk about Denver, and I was there too. So I lived there before. So holiday plans, my two sons and I are trying to figure that out. We haven't talked about it yet. So we'll be hanging out, probably some road trips and get familiar with Texas. Not my first time living in Texas. I actually lived in Houston a long time ago, so haven't been around the central Texas area. So we'll probably do a lot of road trips.
Very good. You didn't say if you're hired or looking.
Yes, I am. Product management. So,
Are you hiring or looking?
Looking.
not looking.
My name is Constantine. I do system level software consulting. I'm not hiring. I'm available for consulting. And I don't have any specific holiday plans.
All right. Always pleasure to meet new people. If you don't know sort of the plan, typically we meet for Austin RB the second Monday of the month. We also have Austin on Rails the fourth Tuesday of the month. It can be confusing because not every month starts on a Monday. We had that mixed up with the speaker, thinking 2 months ago, I think, and thinking that his talk was a week before the actual meetup was. So follow us on Meetup. We post the dates there. We skip about 3 months a year for each one of the meetups. So November and December are obvious Thanksgiving and Christmas for Austin on Rails, so we don't meet on the fourth Tuesday. January, beginning of the year, we don't meet for Austin RB. Don't meet in September. We don't meet in July, 4th of July. People aren't around. There's also South by, sometimes gets in the way. There is a calendar that you can subscribe to for Austin on Rails and for the meetup.com. So that's for that. The other thing I wanted to mention is that there is a company that's hiring called Bloomfire. A good friend of mine is an engineering manager there, and I posted the link on Slack this morning, and she's looking for somebody, Ruby backend and some React frontend, I think. So a good friend of mine, they're looking for somebody. If you are interested, let me know. I can put you in touch. What else? Anything else? This is a good time to grab some more food. Otherwise, we'll get started unless anybody else has any.
Or we can grab water.
There is a fountain up front. Supposedly not allowed to use it, but if you sneak in, grab a cup and pour some water, nobody will know.
I can show you.
And bring some wine or beer.
I will try.
Where in Florida did you all move from?
Keys.
Oh.
About half of them Key West. That could be your sponsors, actually.
Oh, yeah. I'll be with that.
I don't have any of our beer in the US, though. Well, I got like 6 of them. But it just costs so much money to bring it up here, it's just not even worth it.
There's a lot of breweries and stuff.
Yeah, we're not trying to break into the US market. It's just to, I mean, I think it's been crashed so hard before it's just like breweries going in there.
We're probably too.
We do have socials every now and then. If anybody wants to sponsor, tequila,
Oh, don't worry about it. Just email me on that.
He owns 2 shares.
Yeah.
2% of what they buy into.
What, you only have 100 shares in the company?
Yeah.
It's weird, not taking it.
No, every share is 1%.
Yeah, no, I totally get
And
it.
so, his valuation is like 30 million for the company. I just think that's, wow.
Just, I figured just came from 30,
sell it over 50%. And if something happens, they have to fight it or whatever, it's back. I wouldn't touch it.
No.
And you end up with like an acreage out there.
Apparently they hear about the machines and my son doesn't have them.
Yeah.
Okay. We don't do, I mean,
Actually,
in our
I do
internal
like
referral
Twitter.
system, it just parses out
Yeah, I've
emails
never
and things
sent
like
it
that,
to
I don't know
I mean,
the
I've got
details, and then it goes to
I
a
guess
person.
all of my non-tweeting.
Do you follow anyone else? Do you follow Twig?
No.
Just need to see where the best form.
Yeah, but, if it's not.
Format that I have,
I don't want to tweet.
they, yeah, they parse the machines or
You know,
something.
President Trump and everything, I just like.
My format. And they were gonna do it like,
I've used PDF and Word docs, and I've been trying this pages format, which I don't like.
You actually, like, if you
We'll
have
take-
Twitter on
we'll take
iOS,
So we get,
they send you notification via the DNS.
So typically we have somebody come in here, give a presentation, but since RubyConf was a couple of weeks ago, it's a good time to check in and see what happened.
He doesn't have the
Um,
internet on his phone, but you
The
always.
keynote we're gonna watch is the one by Ruby,
Right. Yeah, by Ruby Creator,
Matt, progress on Ruby, maybe talking about Ruby 3. So,
Okay, you lost me.
hopefully, enjoy.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Yeah, thank you. I always feel nervous before you, every year. This is RubyConf, the canonical Ruby conference. And this is 19th of the conference. Yeah, thank you everyone for coming. I am very glad to have those so many first timers. So that we welcome you. I'm talking about Ruby. This is because this is a Ruby conference. Ruby is pretty popular programming language. You know that. And it is 11th in the TLB index out of 150 programming languages. And ranked 8th in the Red Mark index. So it's quite popular still. But nothing lasts long. And then the price will fall. So that we have to be anxious about extinction. What made Ruby great? I think the best one is the programming joy. So back in 90s, so the people, especially programming language designers, tend to focus on the efficiency. So the computers were so slow back in the 80s, 90s, so that we have to focus on the performance of the language. So that compiling programming language and a static type programming language are very popular, like C, C++. That was out there. But as a hobby programmer, I started creating Ruby in '93. So that back then, very few programming languages focused on human. They try to focus on machines because they need more performance. But I was a hobby programmer. Actually, I was a professional programmer, but programming language itself were my hobby. So I created Ruby just for fun. It was my hobby. I didn't expect this big audience. Because Ruby was originally my hobby, so that I was no customers, I didn't have any, specification to create something. But I just created to Ruby for myself. So that I enjoy creating Ruby, I enjoy implementing Ruby, and I enjoy designing the language. And then for that reason, I focus on myself because I'm so selfish people, a person I need. But accidentally, many of you feel similar. And then I happen to make it a free software so that people are free to use that without any charge, any money. So that people start using it in scripting, gaming, building some desktop application or something. And the web came in. And then people start using, creating web applications using Ruby. The Prolog was pretty popular back then, but the Ruby is better in many ways. Like Ruby is the pure object-oriented programming language. It is modular, it is powerful, and it is a little bit readable than Perl in many cases. And then mostly because of the joy of the programming, the Ruby programming tend to be productive because most of the time, when you are using Ruby, you are highly motivated. You are productive when you're motivated, and you are motivated when you feel joy, right? So that's one of the reasons Ruby is highly productive. Of course, Ruby has many features, many convenient features, many strong features for productivity, but the best key of Ruby productivity is the motivation and joy. Of course, it is a very good language design. Of course, I designed it. But most importantly, we have resources because so many people created libraries and frameworks and gems. So that those set resources help you become even more productive. So those resources does not came out of nowhere. It's from the community. So I think the community is the key of Ruby's success and popularity and productivity, everything. So that Ruby is the community. So okay, Ruby is a language software, and then it's good, it's good language. It's well designed, but the community is more important. So if I didn't put it on the internet, if I didn't make it open source, Ruby might be a great language without the community, and it should have been nothing. So that you are the Ruby. So that in that sense, we have to attract people because the community without newcomers will be, dim, go away. And then, so we have to attract people so that those newcomers, welcome, those newcomers are a very good sign of Ruby's success. We have to provide technology to attract people, good community to attract people, and we need more jobs to attract people, and broader audience to attract people. Open source community cannot stop. We are like kind of shark, so we have to keep swimming. Because we cannot expect high loyalty for free, because you are not forced to use Ruby. Okay, most of you. to the conference because you felt Ruby is good, and that you wanted to learn more about Ruby, right? So that this is attractiveness. But because you're not forced, you can go away to Python, PHP, JavaScript, or whatever. So that you can freely go away from the community. So that we have to attract people. That we attract people by good technology, good community, and the participation is the key. And we call it open. We are open community. So the Ruby is often called the open source software. Actually, I am a free software camp. But I like the term open because open means welcome, welcoming you. So that I like the term open. And then being open as a community, we build the future of Ruby. Not me only, but with you. The roadmap. Yeah. I rarely talk about the roadmap, but this time is the exception. So that this year, December, next month, we are going to release Ruby 2.7. As a Christmas gift, as usual. And next year, we are going to release the Ruby 3.0. Very importantly, this is fixed. So no matter what happens, we are going to have the Ruby 3.0 next year. Actually, some members of the core member, including me, a bit worried about that we cannot keep the deadline of the Ruby 3.0. But unless extremely bad things happen, we may drop some announced features in Ruby 3, but we are going to release Ruby 3 next year. They will come later with a drop. We will try our best. So that, okay, let me tell you about the Ruby 2.7 coming pretty soon. We are going to have the very nifty feature in Ruby 2.7 because Ruby 3.0 will not be the big jump. It's just a next release. We have the big jumps in the version number, but not big jump in the language. Some new feature prepared for the Ruby 3.0 is released with Ruby 2.7. The first one is the pattern matching. We are going to have it. Not the regular expression pattern matching, but the pattern matching from many functional programming languages. With using the pattern matching, you can like this. Okay, JSON, the parse, then took the JSON data, then pattern match to take the Rico and Alice, and her child, Bob, and then retrieve the age of her son, or no Alice. Well, if you write down the existing Ruby, you have to write like this. Okay, the person's name is Alice, then children is the Alice children, then the Alice has one child, and whose name is Bob, to retrieve the age of his son, or something like that. Compared to this This is quite straightforward, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. Pattern matching can make Ruby more concise. So that we are going to have the pattern matching. Okay, I admit it. The pattern matching is slow right now. And if you use the pattern matching Ruby 2.7, you will be warned. This is experimental feature, but you can use it anyway. And I bet you will use it, and you love it. Okay, substory, keyword arguments. I admit that I regret some part of keyword arguments because of some kind of history issue. Back in Ruby 1.9, I allowed to put the hash argument at the bottom of the keyword, usual arguments, so that people can use the hash as the keyword argument, emulating keyword arguments. Then Ruby 2.0 introduced some part of the keyword argument, but we have to support the pre-existing emulation. Combining that, we have some weird key corner cases. So it's kind of confusing. For example, what should happen? We have the method named M, and it has two arguments. One is conditional, the other is keywords. Then call method M with a keyword argument. What should happen? Error? Yeah, it should be error, I think. But it works like this. Whoa. Okay, next question. What should happen? One is optional argument, the other is keyword argument. And I call it with one keyword argument. What should happen? Reality is this. Kind of confusing. Okay, keyword arguments pitfall. The wrong number of arguments cause very nasty confusion. And a combination with optional or rest arguments can be confusing. And combination with hash arguments is confusing. So now we should fix the avoid future tragedy. I know it's backward incompatible, but it's a pain we must suffer. So in gradual steps. Okay, step 1, Ruby 2.7. Step 2 is Ruby 3.0 or later. Ruby 2.7, the behavior is basically compatible with Ruby 2.6 or before. But you will get warnings. And Ruby 2.7 introduced the very ugly Ruby 2 keywords method. And in Ruby 3.0, we will introduce the real keyword arguments. So that means that you can write the program that runs on both Ruby 2.6 and 2.7. And you can write the Ruby program that runs on both Ruby 2.7 and Ruby 3.0, but not for Ruby 2.6 and Ruby 3.0 because of this incompatibility. So that you have to migrate. But after this pain, unfortunately, keyword arguments will be simpler, easier, and safer. I will tell you, this is the biggest incompatibility in Ruby 3. I'm sorry, but you have to suffer. And we will provide a migration path so that we try to least your pain. Okay, numbered parameters. From Scala Clojure Ruby, we introduced the numbered parameters. So okay, underline 1 is the default parameter, first default parameters. So that, okay, you can take these elements and then double them. It's quite easy. And then you can use it, the underscore 1, underscore 2, local variables and methods. But you'll be wrong. Yeah, stop using it for your new programs. Okay, next one is argument forwarding. You can like this, 3 dots. The receiving any arguments in 3 dots, and passing any arguments in 3 dots. And then you need to wrap them in parents, always. So that in Ruby, you can drop the parentheses around the arguments for most of the cases. But in this is one of the exceptions. You have to wrap the argument forwarding in parentheses. Begin and end ranges. This is kind of trivial, but 1 dot dot means the interest range, so that it means the 1 and forever. And then dot dot 10 is the negative forever, negative infinity to not 1, 10. I'm sorry. Okay, JC compaction. You will have a session on the JC compaction in this conference, but we will introduce the memory compaction. And we will have the less memory consumption, but it should be manual compaction. So the memory compaction is still slow, so that you have to tell the garbage collector to compact when you are in idle. Okay, Unicode 12.1 and more emojis. More emojis. Some will appreciate, but as an implementer of the text processing, I say nah. Beta IRB. IRB is the Ruby REPL, and we will introduce the multi-line edit for IRB. And if you hit the tab key twice, you will see the inline references. You don't have to switch the window or terminate the IRB to look at the window, the reference. Okay, we will have the faster fiber. Sammy Williams improved a lot. Great. And then we will have the faster JET compiler. The Takashi Kokumo improved a lot. Great. And the RubyJet will be very close to 3x3 in some benchmarks. Thank you. And we added many convenient methods like enumerable tally to count elements of the enumerable, the filter map, the filter then map, the enumerable, the unbound method to bind code, and others. So what's not new in Ruby Swift? Pipeline operator. From the language like F# and Elixir, so they have the pipeline operator like this instead of this, but it's cancelled. Yeah. Okay. Natural pipeline operator behavior in Ruby is very dependent on the definition of natural. Let me explain a little bit more about that. Yeah, I was very frustrated about that. So that pipeline operator in F# and ML language defines like this, and then this operator on the left-hand side or argument Elixir, it is defined in macro, and it's the left-hand operand as the first argument of the function calls. Then, that means the behavior of the pipe-from operator differs in the F-sharp and Elixir according to the culture and the library design of the language. The concept of the pipe-from operator, the common behavior of the pipe-from operator is the add primary argument to the call. So the I define natural behavior of pipe-from operator for Ruby should add primary argument to the call. To think about the map method in Ruby, the primary operator, most important argument, which is the enumerable, is the receiver. So add primary argument to the call means the add primary argument as the receiver. It is the method call. But many people expect Elixir's pipeline behavior because they know from Elixir. So they are far more than I thought. The common sense is defined by the community. So if I strongly insist the proposed behavior, I have tried to persuade the community. And even it will take years. But even though I was the original proposer of the idea, so that, it's okay to drop for me. So, unfortunately, not that much. So I cancel. The second one is the method reference operator. In Python and some other languages, the object.foo returns the foo method from Ruby as an object. But in Ruby, object.foo calls method even with the parentheses. So the parentheses is not significant in Ruby language. It's very useful so that object.foo can be the attribute retriever defined by method, so that you can easily define an accessor. So that it's quite suitable for object-oriented programming language. But it's relatively harder to get a method object. You have to do like this, object.method and the symbol. So instead of the existing way to retrieve the method object, we propose the object.currentFoo to retrieve the method object. Yeah. But it's useful for some cases, and it's short, meaning consistency is power, but ugly. Yeah, it kind of looks like real. Yeah, and in recent years, we have added some features inspired with functional programming languages, and but we didn't have the ground design of functional programming in Ruby. So we will take time to think about functional programming in Ruby. So that it's canceled for 2B2.7 to rethink. So that maybe we will provide method reference operator in Ruby 3 or even further future, but we have to make something, some ground design of the functional programming in Ruby. So what's next? You will have the Ruby 3.0. Under the current plan, I talked with many people to design the future of Ruby. And so the last few years we are working on improve the performance, and we have to be multi-core aware, and we can address the bigger team and bigger projects. So the Ruby 3 should have VM performance and concurrency and static analysis. The VM performance. But we already, Ruby 2.6 last year, we sit with the JIT compiler, experimental JIT compiler. It runs Ruby applications faster, 2 times faster for some cases, very CPU intensive tasks. But Rails application runs slower, unfortunately. But we are working on it for last year, and we will working on it for the Ruby 3. And right now, the JIT compiler for Rails applications runs as fast as without JIT. Not faster yet, but we are trying. And in some benchmarks, like OptaCarrot benchmarks, which is the very CPU intensive benchmark, it comes with the 2.8 times faster compared to Ruby 2.0. So that we are very close to Ruby 3.3. So we merged. Okay. Next, we have improved the JIT garbage collectors. We merged the transient heap in Ruby 2.6 and the object compaction in Ruby 2.7. We keep improving the VM performance. The concurrency is hard. I really love it. I added Ruby, threads to Ruby way before 1.8, so they're way older. So that back then, most of the computers only have one CPU. So we don't have to care about multi-core. So that the ground design of the Ruby threads is stick to the single core. But these days, we have many cores on laptops, smartphones, even on the Raspberry Pi. So we have to care about multi-core. But so in the multi-core age, the threads and the Ruby concurrency is hard to use correctly, to use efficiently, and it's very hard to debug. We need better concurrency abstraction. So we talked a lot about the future concurrency in Ruby, and we concluded we are going to provide a new concurrency model, one for CPU bottlenecks, the other for the I/O bottlenecks. We are going to provide the GILs, or whatever name, for CPU bottlenecks, and there are fibers for I/O bottlenecks. They should be easy to use, easy to debug, and easy to perform. You might say that the Go or the Elixir use single entity for concurrency. For example, the routine for Go and the processes for Elixir. But we need to, because these languages are designed with the concurrency model from its day one. But us, these concurrency models are to add on. So for the sake of the compatibility and the portability, so that we need 2 entities instead of 1. The one is GILs, or maybe we call it isolate. We have to discuss a little bit more. And it's kind of like the web workers or isolates in JavaScript. And it utilizes the multi-cores by offloading the CPU heavy tasks. The fibers with small enhancement. It uses the I/O multitasking and the built-in async. So we are not going to add the async, await, the keyword are the reserved words like JavaScript, Python, or Rust, or whatever. But we just use fibers. that you
Sorry.
can write down the normal sequential program with the I/O multiplexing. Okay, then static functions. Yeah, we can call it static typing. As the project grows, the test becomes a burden. Like, you know that. Test increases in size, and more time, and tests are not dry. No, don't repeat yourself principle. So that, yeah, we do write tests anyway, but we want to be more productive by reducing tests. The other language try to reduce the tests by providing type hinting or type annotations, or even the different dialect of the language from Microsoft. So what should we do? Adding type annotations, or creating the alternative dialect, like a type Ruby? No. I hate type annotations. Because it's not dry. Now, your program, your current Ruby programs, run without any type annotations, right? Because Ruby does not provide type annotations. Because I'm stubborn. But if it works, so the adding type annotation is kind of redundant. So it's not dry. So that we want our type hinting the language, because it's not needed from my picture. The plan for Ruby static typing, that we will provide static type information for standard libraries in format than the Ruby signature. The future gems can provide type information as well, so that you can have the type information in the different files from your program. You may wonder having different file, so you have to maintain 2 files instead of 1. But it has a reason, because the far distant future, maybe 5 years later or 10 years later, then we will have the very smart compiler with AI, so that you can guess the type information without any type signature. So that at that time, you don't have any type Ruby signature, you type annotation, no anything. You just warned by the compiler. Your program is wrong or something like that. You made a mistake in this line of code. The compilers can tell you, or even teach you how to program Ruby. So and then we will provide a tool in the type profiler that use AI for type checking. This AI stands for the abstract interpretation. So that traces code paths of your applications and collecting type information of your application, then along with the checking type contradiction to the type signature, the type information from the type signatures, then generate signature for your applications. And that means you will have the type information of your application without writing any type annotations. And then you can have the third-party type checkers with your third-party type checkers. So that use type information from signatures. But currently, we have the Ruby static type checkers, including RDL, Solvay, Steep. Then Solvay and Steep has their own sessions in these conferences. If you have interest in it, go ahead and attend But all of us agree to adopt the Ruby signature gradually in the future. That they between us. What will happen with this type checking? Your ordinary Ruby program will be statically type checked, errors in compile time, without any type annotations in your Ruby programs. And if you refine type definition file signatures, you will have better checking. So that type profiler cannot generate the generic types or make a distinguish between the turbo type array and the uniformed array. So that you can write down the Ruby signature by hand to tell a compiler that kind of information. But Ruby static type checking without any type annotation, wouldn't that be cool? Yeah, we are working on it, and the result is promising, at least from my point of view. We cannot stop progressing. We cannot stop progressing as a community, otherwise we will die, eventually. So we need to survive. We have to keep moving forward. It is our destiny. Not only us, but you too. Frustration is the key. The Ruby can be better. Ruby can be great. Ruby can make your life happy with your participation. More than 20 years ago, I created the term named Rubyist. And the definition of the Rubyist is a person who is more than a mere user. So you are Rubyist because you attended the conference. And you're part of the community. You're a Rubyist. I wish you all keep being Rubyist. No, don't go away. And happily ever after. Thank you.
So, thoughts?
I'm a Rubyist.
You're a Rubyist? You are a Rubyist. Come here.
Yeah.
I have a question. I had this conversation with somebody and I didn't know how to respond clearly to that. So they compared like languages that are like static and type, and Ruby and say, okay, how you manage when people like, okay, the critique was Ruby is too flexible. So, because it's over like convention, over configuration, you have to rely in the users of the programmers do more like follow the conventions. But if you don't, you can have like a spaghetti code or really like smelly code. And if somebody's not like checking on you, like another like you have to rely on humans to make your code good and easy to debug. But if the humans like fail in that, then you have just like a big issue with your app or when it's a big team. And versus the other languages, it's like it's enforced. So you don't have to rely that much on humans as you just rely on the language in the machine. So
interesting question, although I would dispute the premise that other languages do not suffer from the same things, just in different ways, right? Like, I've seen plenty of code that's spaghetti code and horrible code that comes from a statically typed or compiled language. But also there are patterns and there are design patterns that you can follow in Ruby. There are tools like Rubocop or Code Climate that you can use to check your code complexity and code cleanliness. So, to me personally, I mean, others might have different opinion, but to me personally, it's a matter of what tools you use, how do you do it, what culture you have within the team, and what are you trying to promote. And I think you can get the worst of the worst in Ruby and in other languages, and you can get the best of the best in both. So I don't think there is a language that really forces you, or at least not the common ones. Maybe there might be some fringe ones, but they really force you to write clean code, because I mean, you can write a 100-line method that's a bunch of if-else statements and indirection and spaghetti code in Java just as easily, right? That's my opinion.
So the version I was talking comes from Java.
So I was a Java developer for a number of years, and you can write some really ugly Java code. And one of the other problems is that Java, for instance, to get the typing to work, you have to create a bunch of other classes that go along with it. So you're actually doing a lot more code, and so there's a lot more code that you actually have to look through just to understand things. Then you couple that with the fact that you can have libraries that are compiled, but you don't have the access to the source code. Whereas Ruby, you can see, unless it's using C extensions or something like that, you can see the code line by line.
You can see the C extensions too.
You can.
They're just hard to read.
You have to go. But that opens up a lot more doors, and I find that the language itself is concise enough that you save a lot more time in the long run.
Yeah. I agree with Yusuf's very first statement. Oh,
Go ahead.
That I would just reject the whole premise. Like static typing does not make anyone a better programmer. It can give you a better IDE experience. Like your editor can tell you what types are, but so can well-named variables, or so could variable naming schemes. Type checking simply by itself is a feature that some languages will have and others won't. I can write bad code in any language, I often do. So it's really just like, do you have good people on the team, good people guiding the code? Are you doing code reviews, and what standard are these reviews held to?
And what happens when you want to change something? So like Java has a problem where I create an interface and it has these 10 things. Well, if I want to change one of the 10 things, I have to change everywhere that code was relying on it. Whereas in Ruby, I have a little bit more leeway at the risk of potentially breaking something in production, which is what it tests.
That was like actually what he was saying. It's not like make it better coder, but it is make it easy to debug, because then it's easy for you to break stuff if you don't go along with like things you're saying. So you actually say that as a pro, not as a con. Like it will make it more easy to break, just because it's tied to so many other stuff. While Ruby is so flexible that even if you're like will break something, you don't see it immediately, or you don't see it coming. Is the way it starts.
We're gonna add something to this conversation or something else?
I just wanted to say that, there's a lot of stuff you could code, but I choose not to.
Yes.
I choose to be very, open and clear and concise, and so I'm kind of like self-policing myself. It's kind of like professions, like doctors, they have like ethical standards. Like they can do weird things, but they have ethical standards where they won't do it. So I won't write a lot of really weird stuff that I, look back a year later and I don't know what I was writing. Because I've done that before. I
What time code reviews come in?
Yeah, but then it's where you go, like, you have to rely on human doing the code review. It's not like you said, there's tools.
Yeah, so I mean, I've used TypeScript, for example, and I like TypeScript. And I used it as I don't know, production code, all that kind of stuff, but also as a challenge to myself and say, hey, have I been in the Ruby world for too long and gotten used to not having types and all that kind of stuff? And would I be just doing the old man, get off my lawn thing, saying I don't need types, or do I really not want it, or does it not have all that kind of stuff? And I used it. And I found myself a lot of the time just putting type any. A lot of the cases, I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, so what
Yeah.
you use is this, so I'm just saying type any at this point, right? I might as well not have types if, a lot of times I'm using any. And the times where I wasn't is because I would have, it's not because it was gonna help me do anything other than just remind myself what type it is and it should be, and we can easily achieve the same thing with just comments in Ruby. And I like personally to comment my methods and specify what type the params are and what type the return statement is. A lot of times when I'm writing code, for myself or on a project that I have control over or I'm leading. Because it is nice to set the expectation of what is this variable. Name makes sense. Name is a string. Age is a number. Date of birth is a date. By the name you can tell, but a lot of times it's not easy. Are you expecting a hash? Are you expecting an array? Are you expecting an array of hashes? All that kind of stuff. But a lot of times when I'm saying, I'm expecting this format, the type is not going to give me that. I really need to have an example that shows what I was expecting as an input for this method. So commenting and using examples within the comments, which if you look at a lot of the Rails code, for example, that's what it's full of. It's full of examples. Examples are the best way other people learn how to use what you write, your tools, your APIs, your code, and all that kind of stuff. And I feel like that goes a long way, much more than a simple type, a string or Boolean or array or all that kind of stuff. I'm not saying it's not useful at all, but it's not going to save you. It's not going to make you a better, I don't think it's going to make you a better programmer. It's just going to make you a lazy programmer. In a sense. But I personally don't think it's black or white. It's either or. I think that, it's nice to have both. But nice to have the flexibility when you need it. Nice to have the tool. So this is why I like what's happening here, is because it feels like it's, the best of both worlds in a little bit. If you want to use it, it's there for you. If you don't want to use it, you can ignore it. It's away in separate files where it's not in your face. It's not bogging you down or anything of that sort. At least that's my opinion.
And I'll say that I feel like I use an IDE in Java for a lot of code generation that I don't read in Ruby. And then I use RubyMine myself, and I find the inspection in RubyMine is usually more than efficient for me tracking down what things are versus a Java Java IDE.
Most of the time, those conversations happen when the other person's feeling some inferiority complex. And,
No, the
They
argument
want-
wasn't, the
they
argument
want-
wasn't if it's better, make a better coder or programmer. The argument was that type you put another layer, like when big teams,
yeah,
it's just put another layer to avoid another bug. It's just a layer. It's not like it's better or not. It's another layer that gives you some safety.
I like having my.
I think you actually mentioned it in the presentation, it's a drive principle, right? Don't repeat yourself.
Yeah, but my question was how Ruby or Rubyist think about that.
I'd rather have more
It
tests.
seems like it's redundant.
If my tests were to, again, it's hard for me coming from a non-statically typed language to come up with situations where it would make me, because I don't think about it that way. But in Justin's example, you change a class or an interface, and a number of other things depend on this. I would expect my tests to catch it if I changed it. If I changed the class and I changed only one of its dependencies and not the other two, my test would catch that. But if I don't have tests, obviously it wouldn't catch it, whereas typing perhaps would, at least on an interface. I'm not sure, I don't do that sort of programming, but like between adding types, I would still have tests, even if I had types. I'd rather just get everyone better at tests.
So the other thing worth mentioning is that a lot of Ruby it's a little bit overcomplicating things, but it's a pattern that a lot of them use is that you typically pass in only your own interfaces, classes that you've made a lot of the times as parameters to most methods. There are the easy, typical, like I'm setting to the database string and all that kind of stuff, that's fine. But you never pass in an object that's just, you got it from somewhere without knowing what it is. You're always either casting it into a nil object, so a nil class is like a nil design pattern. So it's a class that you've written that handles things being empty or things being nil or that kind of stuff. Or you casted it into an interface that has all of the methods that you expect to call on it in the, wherever you're passing it to. So you're always sure that you've handled it, and you've handled it, however, whatever happens next, you're always sure that you've handled whatever method is being called appropriately because you've written that interface to handle the happy path and the sad path, and the exceptional, like all of the parts. So it means a lot of more classes typically in your application that wrap things and give interfaces to things, but that's actually a good design pattern to follow overall. Very rarely I've followed that pattern or been on applications that have done that, but I've seen that. I know Avdi, for example, in Ruby Tapas talks about that in a couple of his screencasts. And I feel like if you worked on a product that's mature enough, that's been around long enough, and you have a lot of these cases, that it's a good pattern to follow, to encapsulate things within interfaces and pass those interfaces along. So you're never taking the risk that you're getting something you don't know what the type of is, right? And typically what that means is your interface has like a constructor and then the method, and says if, let's just say, you pass it a string, if the string responds to the method substring, for example, call it, otherwise do something else graceful. So if you got passed in a number or a boolean, it doesn't respond to the method substring, you gracefully handle it, right? So, I mean, that's one way a lot of Rubyists handled that scenario.
Is your friend a Ruby developer at all? Because I found when I transitioned from Java to Ruby,
Java.
I had my Java things that I would hold dear, and it took about 3 months for me to let go of things and realize that Ruby works, and it works really well, and there were a lot of things that were easier. There were some things that were harder, but you just have to learn Ruby, and then they become second nature.
It's Java and JavaScript.
Yeah.
Most people. Alright, have arguments.
Yeah.
Go for the second
But
one.
yeah, also, learn other languages and see if you like them, like that's.
I was just curious how, like, how to have the arguments to say really does this, I think that type of.
I mean, the best argument is I like coding things. Leave it there.
Yeah.
I was actually surprised that they canceled the pipe operator, at least for now.
Yeah.
But it seemed like a much bigger conversation. They're trying to figure out how to make Ruby more functional programming. Like, add a suite of things for functional programming all together, well designed and organized, which might be a good idea. But I thought they were really moving forward with that, and thought it was going to be interesting how they're going to do it. And it's funny to me that the thing that made him rethink it is whether to pass in the param as the first param or the last param, and the difference between F# and Elixir. And if you talk to any Rubyists, they're like, who cares about F#, right? Like, how many Rubyists do we know have used F#? Probably 0.1%. But everyone in the Ruby community has an eye on Elixir because a lot of Elixir folks come from the Ruby community. I thought it was weird that he didn't realize that, or he wasn't aware of that, that everybody would be looking to Elixir as the example and not F#. But that's also nice thing to have when you have a leader who's completely different from the rest of the community, and Matt's being in his own world, not realizing what's happening around him. It's kind of funny.
Are you sad that there's gonna be a pipeline out
No, to be honest, because I mean, I'm not sad. I thought the reasoning was kind of funny, but I thought it was also, the whole concept was useless to me because we do have the dot notations that you can just chain methods in, right? Like, I was thinking about, like, I understand why you do it. I understand why you do it, but I always figured that in Ruby, I would much rather have the methods be called on the receiver and have object-oriented programming than functional programming. So I was not, I don't know. I was saying, like, we were trying too much to be Elixir when Elixir already exists, and if people wanted Elixir, they would just move to Elixir. So I wasn't that
But
excited
maybe
about
that's
it.
the thing, like, to me, the pipeline doesn't make sense with how the current language is. Maybe they need to add a few foundational other features before you're like, oh yeah, this is why we use the pipeline. Like, now we can create objects that can't be modified at all. You know, it's more in keeping with functional programming than less buggy.
Yeah. I mean, you could always just, you should always do it the long way of calling the method, saving the response, calling the next method with the response of that, and like, you can do it manually, right? So if you really want to do functional programming, you can achieve it without having a language. I mean, the language syntax is nice to force you towards it, but in languages like Elixir, that's the only way you can do it, right? So it makes sense there. I didn't think it was, I don't know, at least for me, like, I didn't think it was like a necessary thing to do for Ruby. I would much rather have them focus on the performance and the multi-core concurrency issue and forget. But actually, maybe that was part of the reason why they needed it, is they thought if they move towards functional programming, it will help with the concurrency. But I don't think that should be the case.
Well, I have never like heard in C++ or I read that you can achieve like one of the, like any of the parameters that in paradigms. You can do it object oriented or you can do it functional, just with C++. So I don't know if they try to do like a multi-paradigm language easier.
It's quite hard for me to wrap my brain about, like, because in Ruby everything is an object. Like, even the class definition is an object, you know. I like it because of that, you know. It's it just would feel, it wouldn't feel Ruby anymore to me if we were doing functional programming. That's just me.
Anyone concerned about the keyword arguments that are good, those changes?
No, I've been wanting them to break backwards compatibility for a long time. Like, just do it right and forget about backwards compatibility for once. I think backwards compatibility had slowed Ruby development for a while.
Well, I think maybe he still felt the pain from 1.8 to 1.9. Now's the time to do it though, right, before the major.
how many people use keyword arguments right now, like all of the time?
All the time. They usually don't mix them though, you know, like positional arguments and keyword arguments, they usually have one or the other.
Yes, but I always forget about keyword arguments and default to positional arguments, and then remember about
That's
them
true.
in a different class.
And then you have a mess everywhere.
Yes.
I
But
use
yeah.
them pretty consistently, but usually I don't mix them, yeah. I certainly don't ever mix them with like hashes.
Yeah.
What is the compatibility that they're breaking? Like, are they just gonna change, are they removing them, or are they?
No, I think they're just redesigning how they're implemented,
Okay.
but that is gonna break, like if you've mixed them, it's gonna break how all that works.
Could
Okay.
be that if you use keyword arguments, you're using keyword arguments, but if you have any other variables in there or arguments there, you can't intermingle them,
Yeah.
which would make sense.
It looks like it would just kind of break cases where it was an undetermined case, like the two that he showed, where it was like, oh, what actually happens? It would just make them consistent in some way, but he didn't say which way. I was like, all right.
So it's still working on it.
Yeah. So, I don't know what they're gonna do with that.
I mean, I honestly, I don't think most people care. I think he might care more than the majority of the people.
Mm.
Well, it depends, because when you try to upgrade, then you start to see everything breaking and stuff.
People complain all the time anyways.
Complain no matter what. Like, how have other languages done breaking backwards compatibility? The only one I'm really familiar with is Python, and that was a shit show.
It was a shit, right? And people still love Python.
Well, one or the, three or two. They don't
Well,
love-
yeah,
nobody
they
loves them
don't use
both.
three anymore.
So why is the naming also like 2.7 and 3? That's like the same as Python, isn't it?
Wow, that's a good coincidence, but it just happened to be
Yeah,
we
I was
are on 2.7 and the next one is 3.
Yeah,
What about
it's
2.9?
not
What about 2.8?
Because it's now backward incompatible, so you have to update the major.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a break.
I mean, it usually creates some sort of schism in the community
Yeah.
temporarily.
Yeah, like incompatibilities are job security.
But is there
Well,
anybody
but it was
that's,
supposed to be for fun, like the language was supposed to be for fun.
that's just rude? Are there any other languages that have handled it really well? Like Python's the only one I know about. I don't even know any other that have major breaks.
Perl? Perl
Yeah.
6?
Doesn't
It's
make
completely
it-
incompatible, Perl 6 is completely incompatible with Perl.
Yeah.
When did Pearl 6 come out?
I think it was like this year or last year.
Oh, wow.
They finally renamed it. I think it was finally renamed to something else later on. I forgot the new name.
Not Pearl?
But did also Java go from like Java 1.8 to Java 7 or something like that? Like,
Well, they have always used the point as number as their big number. They are very big about backwards compatibility though, which Java has, so the counterexample is Java compared to like .NET has suffered because of their unwillingness to like change anything.
Same with Windows.
And yeah, and their lambdas are horrible because they refuse to do anything backwards. They can't break anything. So because of their language is very, it's like, why did you do it this way? Oh, because it breaks stuff from Java 3. Okay.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I think in the Ruby community, it would be fine. I mean, we've had a split in the community between like MERB and Rails, and then they joined them into one project with Rails 3. Some people never came back, but you know, it happens. It always happens in the community where people have strong opinions. They go one way, and then the rest of the community goes another. But I feel like this is not going to be that major
Yeah.
breaking thing. Not the keyword arguments, I don't think.
I can't imagine.
Because I don't think anybody feels so strongly about how it is right now.
Yeah. the only reason I use keyword arguments is so that when you're calling the method, you have a very clear idea of what the arguments are that you're passing in.
Yeah.
And that only becomes important when I have really more than 3 arguments.
I think people care more about type checking. People care more about concurrency than they care about the keyword arguments. We'll see. Maybe we'll be having 2 Austin RBs.
Austin RB Classic and Austin RB underscore 3.
Classic.
Yeah, those courts here.
High fructose ruby. It's fortified.
Yes.
All right. Well, we still got a few minutes. Stop. No. Go away.
Is there an outro?
No, that's the next block. It autoplayed the next thing. Feel free to mingle, socialize, grab some more food, help me clean up. If you'd like to stay around and chat some more, you want to find buddies who want to stay around and check out one of the bars next door, feel free to do